think everyone should be reading books. And I guess if I was going to put a number on it, I'd say at least 6 books a year. And I'm not just talking fictional books. I'm talking nonfiction books. Books that, I mean, there's nothing wrong with fictional books. But I'm talking nonfiction books. Books that you can learn from. Books that you can grow from. Books that have new ideas that you don't know about. Stuff you don't understand. To open up a spectrum and open up, ideas or things in your life to provide for yourself and your family, that education and that background, that kind of stuff. So I just want to go over some of this. I think about PBD, Patrick Bet-David. I believe he has his employees that he hires. I think I could be off. I think he told them that they must read a book every month or every other month, and then they have to report back to him. I mean, that's just what it is. That's part of the curriculum. That's part of the job description. Basically, if you want to work there, that's what you got. And I know he's talked about this before, and other people have asked why and questioned him, and he said, well, it's up to you. If you want this position, you want this job, that's one of the requirements. And it sounds like it's gone great ever since. It sounds like people who've never read before read, and they appreciate it, and they grow, and they
after every day, right? But I don't have nearly as much as you have going on. Where are you finding the time? Is it audio? Is it?
Yeah, so it would be audio, it would be book, it would be, but if I'm reading a biography, I can get it in audio and listen to a 2.0 speed. I can get that done, no problem. If I'm reading a business strategy book, I can't listen to it. I have to read it because I need to be focused on how you do X, Y, Z. But if it's autobiography and it's a storytelling, you're kind of staying with the narrator. I can't do the business books that way. And then with podcast prep, content, research, kids are asleep at 9:30, 10 o'clock. I got a couple hours to do what I'm doing there. And then drive time, you'd be amazed how much you have with drive time, travel, flying. But more than anything else, if you stay in curious mode, it's not how do you do it. It's like food. How do you find 3 times a day or 4 times a day to eat? You're feeding yourself. So the same way you're feeding your belly, you're feeding your mind as well. We don't ask the question, how do we find time to eat? But we ask the question, how do we find time to read books? Where it needs to be the other way around. How do you find time to eat? Because you're definitely going to priority between the two. If you really looked at them the same way, we have plenty of time to.
Looking back at myself, I did not read. I did not read books per se. Like high school, middle school, that kind of stuff. When you needed book reports, I did whatever I could to get by with just getting a C minus, maybe even a D, because I refused to read, especially all the stuff that I didn't care about. I didn't want to. But what I did read back then was encyclopedias, and somewhat in middle school, but more so once I got in high school. That's where I spent if I had a study hall or my lunches, I'd eat lunch quick and then I'd go to the library and I would read encyclopedias, read all the encyclopedias. It was just entertaining. It was something, it was informative. It was something I needed and I wanted and I was hungry for. So that's what I did, and I did that a lot. So since then, encyclopedias have always been a staple in my life. So that real education is what I always craved. For whatever reason, I don't know. But anyways, so then if fast forward, jeepers, I'd probably say 20 years ago, I started to read nonfiction books, and I got interested in monetary policy, financials, precious metals, that kind of stuff. All the people out there, your Robert Kiyosaki, Doug Casey, Mike Maloney, just to name a few. I just went through and I just started reading everything I could. Jim Rogers, Jim Rickards, that kind of stuff, and I still do to this day. That's probably, I would say, out of all the books I own, I mean a good number are encyclopedias. Older, really old, close to 100 years, 80 years old, that kind of stuff. But then I also own a high majority of financial stuff like that I just talked about from some of those authors, some of those guys. But anyways, it's not about that. I just want to show some examples of some books and show some some things in some different subjects, and take it or leave it. And audiobooks, I'll put that on the side. I did one audiobook in my life, my entire life, and I mean it worked out all right. That was back when I was driving a long distance to work and back, and which I no longer have to do. I don't have that long, excruciating, hour-long drive to work, hour-long drive home from work, with traffic, that kind of stuff. But anyways, so audiobooks, it's not my cup of tea, but maybe it's yours. So nothing against that. I'm just saying this is reading books or audiobooks. I would do at least 6 a year, if not 12 a year, if not more. What I do is I currently read anywhere from 8 to 13 at a time, maybe 12 at a time. So I'm reading 12 to 13 different books, maybe 14 different books at the same time. And I'll just open one up, I'll just go at it, and I'll read it, and then I'll close it, mark off where I left off, and go back and go about my life and do whatever I got to do with the chickens, the family, that kind of stuff, or whatever it is. And then when I get back to it, I get a few moments, or I get a lot of moments. I'll just grab another book that I was interested in, that I was reading, and just continue on, and just continue reading. And how I read, it's not wrong or right in my opinion, but how I read is not the normal way that most people read. I don't read from the front to the back. Some books I read from the very front, to the very back, and I'll finish in the end. But most of them I don't. Most of them I'll open up the back, the index, and I'll flip through and I'll say, okay, where do I want to start? Or I'll open in the front, I'll look at the contents, table of contents, I'll say, all right, where do I want to start? What is my interest right now? What do I feel I need? Where do I want to start? I always go back and read everything, but I don't read it the way it is put together. I would say 90% of the time, that's how I read my books. And then if I feel, maybe I missed out because I didn't read it in order, quote unquote, in order, then I'll go back and I'll read those 2 chapters that, maybe flow together better if I would have read them like that. But that doesn't usually happen. So, and in the books I'm reading, it rarely ever happens. Anyways, there's a few books that I read, like I said, front to back. Anyways, so I just want to go over this. So on the financial stuff, this is one of them, I guess. Think and Grow Rich, just one of the major books that I read and really made a mark. Gave me a lot of insight. Also, this is the latest. This is a new book, The Great Taking by David Rogers Webb. This was great. This is everything I had learned about and thought over the years of what was going on, especially after I read the book, The Ponzi Factor, that I talked about before. The Ponzi Factor is, I think, I highly recommend it. Also on the subject, there's Economics in One Lesson. Henry Hazlitt. This is a great book. It's a must-read book. I say everyone has to, or I would say everyone should. And this is one of the books. Most of these books, not most, half of these books probably, maybe a third of them, my children have read also, whether they read them with me or they were assigned to do that when I was home educating them. Another one is just Mike Maloney, Gold and Silver, his latest. It's another great book. It's full of charts, full of color charts. And then on that same note, there's the big one, The Creature from Jekyll Island, G. Edward Griffin. This is a game changer. This is a thought-changing book. And it's a really enlightening book. And I was very glad I had read it when I did, and my boys read it so many years ago. And I continue. I'll just flip through it. It's a great resource. So that's on that note. But so on different subjects also, if we're talking about education, there's stuff out there like The Marsification of Education. A great book. There's no wrong or right. Just get started on everything. Just because you read one book, you might not agree with everything that's in it, but it doesn't mean you don't open another book, The Crimes of Educators, and just keep going through it. And at times, a lot of times, I'll read both sides. I'll read the thing that I'm more inclined to lean towards, but I'll also read the thing that is on the other end where they say that's incorrect, that's wrong. I don't spend that much time in that end of it because usually I find out pretty fast and quick that it is what they're talking about. They are wrong because they're pointing at and trying to ridicule or bring down this other field that I leaned into and towards that I thought was true. And it just solidifies and it just backs up what I had thought. Other great things, subjects are leaders. If you're looking at some sort of leadership, this is a great book to read. Along with another book that I had, Tribal Leadership. It's probably back there somewhere if you see that. And then also if you're on the medicine, natural medicine, healing, that kind of stuff. Another great book was Brainmaker. Read this. Great book. I mean, it's eye-opening. And Dissolving Illusions. Another great book. Especially for the people that don't have their eyes open yet and they're so indoctrinated with the people that wear the butcher coats, the white butcher coats, which they call doctors and refer to them as the know-all, end-all, best people in the world and they can do no wrong. Really should read books like this and really open up your mind and your vocabulary and your spectrum of what's actually going on. Another subject, I guess, is a great book. I mean, natural farming. And maybe you're not into this kind of stuff. Maybe you are, but it's always like I just want to know everything I can about it, as much as I can. Whether I live there all the time, live there. I mean, my brain lives there, or I want to be there all the time. It doesn't matter. I just want to know as much as I can about. I mean, as much as I'm able to. And another great one, the Resilient Farm and Homestead, I should say. Great. It's a great book. It's just great information. Like I said, whether it's 100% on your line, 100% you want to believe it, but you're getting out there and you're opening your mind and you're creating some sort of habitat within you where it's I know this much of this one subject, or I know this much of all these subjects, or I know this much of all these things I used to give away. I used to give the authority or the power or the control to someone else, because I used to give all my quote unquote money or my financial situation or my financial stress, my financial control to this financial expert, this advisor, this whatever, and I put it all in a 401k, or I put it all in this IRA that this other person controls, or in these mutual funds that these other people control, or whatever, or I just strictly go straight to the doctor every time I get a little cough or a sniffle, or I'm feeling like something's a little weird, it's off, I'm not sure, or because I ran a fever, or my child had 101 temp and a runny nose, so I'm rushing right to the doctor. You're giving all that away to them, because the people that you're giving this to know as much as you do, maybe a little bit more, but they're fully indoctrinated. Not fully maybe, but heavily indoctrinated on the level of what it is you're going to try to get help for. But that indoctrination it seeps in, and it's not there. The indoctrination prevents your help, your well-being, your growth, that kind of stuff. Their indoctrination and their humanity, their humanness, because they're a human, and their want for self-satisfaction, need, that's all there too. So you're given everything control of your kids to a K through 12 system, that control of your kids' education and growing up, development to K through 12 to the system, and then university, and then fill in the blank after that, maybe. Or you're giving your finances to this financial expert, or you're giving your medicine or your health care or your whatever it is you want to take, or your ailment or your health of your child to this person that's wearing this butcher coat that works for pharma, that their answer is pushing drugs, basically. So you got to think about it. If you are educated in these items, the more items you're educated in, the less trust you're going to have in people blatantly. The less blatant trust you're going to have in everyone. You're going to want to verify. Trust, nah, not so much. Verify, then maybe trust to a point. You want to verify because you know, and you can always ask questions and ask the right questions and get the right answers. And if they don't have them, go to someone else. But if you don't have the knowledge, if you don't have that education, if you don't have that ability, you won't ask the right questions. And if you're getting answers, you won't know if they're the right answers. So you won't know if you should go somewhere else. Unless you're one of the people, which there's not a lot out there, but I've always been one of them. I always get a second, third, fourth opinion, no matter who it is, on anything. It's like, well, all right, I gotcha. But if it costs me money to get a second or third, fourth opinion, I do it because in the end, I'll probably have saved money versus just doing the first thing, going to the first doctor, first financial person, or the first, teacher, the first whatever, first mechanic, or whatever it is. I'll always get a second, third, maybe fourth opinion. I'll go see multiple people, multiple specialists, if you want to call them that. Or I'll ask for references. I'll ask for other people's, interactions. What's their experience? And that kind of stuff. And if it costs me money to do that, like I said, usually I'm better off because I've saved a ton if I didn't make the wrong decision. If I made the wrong decision, it would cost me so much more. But anyways, that's all I had to say about this. And if you want to look at any of these, those are great books that I've read, and I have all these books behind me, and that's what I do. And if you don't read, like I told you when I was younger, I didn't until it was encyclopedias, because I stumbled on. But I think everyone should. I think everyone should. And if it's just doing fiction to start, there's nothing wrong with fiction, but try to branch out. Try to branch out and get something with real knowledge, and it will grow. You can grow from that. It's not just to entertain. Anyways, I want to thank you for watching. If you like this, like, share, subscribe, and as always, stay vigilant for yourself, your family, your health, and protect your own.